Hey, welcome to Bill Crockett Ministries and part 2 of our study on how to develop a money management plan. This is actually part 7 of our series, Living Free from Financial Stress. Last episode, we did part 1, how to build a money management plan. We talked about our income and our expenses, how to gather that, how to sort the data, what to look for, and so forth. Today, in part 2, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about 4 more things that become a vital part of developing a money management plan. So let's dig right in. Number 1, we need to identify our debt. Now, we're not actually going to go into a lot of detail on how to manage that debt. It does need to be a part of your budget. You need to make sure that if you have payments, that those are put into the budget. So in order to do that, you need to identify what your debt is. So let me talk just a second about how to do that. First of all, write down all the debt that you have. And this is anyone that you owe money to. Write that down. Then under each one of those pieces of debt, here's what you need to know. You need to write down the amount that you currently owe, the whole thing. You need to write down the interest rate. How much interest, what rate are you paying? Write down your monthly payment. How much is the minimum monthly payment? Or how much are you paying right now? And then write down the minimum monthly payment. Hopefully you're paying more than the minimum, but if not, write down how much you're currently paying, but write down what the minimum monthly payment is. All of this information is critical to you being able to manage your debt and ultimately get out of debt as you begin to manage that. Now, in this series, I'm not actually going to go into how to get rid of your debt. However, I will refer you to Dave Ramsey and Financial Peace University, his book on money management called Money Makeover. If you haven't read any of Dave Ramsey's material, he teaches what is called the debt snowball, and he will explain step by step as to how you can get out of debt. So I would highly recommend go to their website, look up these resources. He's got podcasts on it. I mean, he's got a wealth of information. So I would highly recommend that if you're struggling with debt, please access Dave Ramsey's resources. And you can even call Ramsey International and they'll talk you through and help you, okay? So sorry we can't do it during this particular series, but there is a resource available for you. But you're going to need all this information when you talk to them, but we also need it in order to plan your budget. Number 2, after we identify debt, now what we want to do is we want to establish our savings account items. Now, one of the things that you need to establish it as early as possible, and that is a retirement plan. You need to have a 401k, an IRA, a Roth IRA. You need to have some type of planning for the future when you retire. And the sooner you start that, the better off it will be when you get to retirement age. I'm 65 years old. I'm currently in retirement. I'm living on retirement. And I will tell you this, I did not plan like I should have planned. Fortunately, I did have a plan, and it was a resource that I was able to access that provides for me enough to be able to live. One of the things I did, by the way, that has really helped me in retirement was I got completely out of debt. Got our house paid for, our cars paid for. We have little to no debt currently. So living in retirement is a whole lot easier when you don't have any debt. So those are things you want to begin working on now towards retirement. What we're about to talk about in your savings accounts, this does not include retirement planning. So you need to talk to someone that can help you with your retirement planning, because that also needs to be a part of your budget. What we're talking about is your yearly budget, how you're going to live without financial stress and maintain yourself during the year. There are a lot of things that we pay for throughout the year that we don't pay for every month. We need to save for these things. Saving a little bit every month in order to go on a nice vacation is a whole lot easier than coming time for vacation, realizing we don't have any money, and then putting it all on a credit card and spending the rest of the year paying twice as much for that vacation as we needed to. So let's talk about establishing your savings account items. These are items that we pay during the year, but they're not paid on a monthly basis. For example, car insurance that you pay every quarter or every 6 months. We need to save for that. Christmas, we've talked about that. That's once a year. Vacation, once or twice a year. Quarterly dues, if you pay quarterly dues, or annual homeowners fees for your homeowners association, a pest control or a termite bond that you might pay once a quarter or once a year. Property tax, if you pay that yourself and it's not a part of your mortgage. Car registration, registering your car once a year. These are all examples of items that we have to pay every year, but we don't pay them monthly. And if we don't plan for them in our monthly budget, then they're going to sneak up on us and they're going to create all kinds of financial stress. So I want you to identify from that list of expenses that you extrapolated. We talked about that in our last episode. I want you to identify all of these kinds of items that you pay randomly throughout the year. These will become savings account items. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, for example, let's say that we want to plan for our vacation. And during our vacation, we are going to spend $6,000 on our vacation. So what we want to do is we want to plan to save $6,000 by the time we get to vacation. So we have 12 months to save for that vacation. Now, we can fund this one of a couple of ways. One, we can put aside $500 a month, and if you put aside $500 a month, then by the time vacation comes, you'll have $6,000. Or you can use those extra paychecks we talked about in our last episode when we were identifying our income. You can use those extra paychecks to fund this in your savings account, or you can use a tax return to fund it, or another source of income that is random during the year, maybe dividend checks. But you need to find that income somewhere throughout the year, and what you want to do is you want to plan to put it in a savings account to cover this expense by the time it gets here. Okay? It may be that you do it once a month. For those of you that are paid monthly or bi-monthly, this amount will come out of your paycheck every month because you don't have extra paychecks. You get all of your income during that month. So you want to carve out some for these items that you're going to put in a savings account that you are going to save for on a regular basis so that you don't have the whole amount to pay when time comes to pay it. All right? So identify your debt. Let's get all that established. We're going to have to plug that into our budget. Then we want to establish our savings account items. Those items that we pay for randomly throughout the year, we want to start saving money towards those so that when time comes to pay it, we've got the money to do it. By the way, your emergency fund would be a part of this. You want to start saving money towards your emergency fund in case you have an emergency. Then the third thing we're going to do is we're going to actually build the budget. Now, we're not really going to talk a lot about that now because in our next episode, Part 8, we're actually going to talk about how to build a budget worksheet. We're going to actually go over a detailed list of budget categories. We're going to actually pull up the spreadsheet. I'm going to go through the spreadsheet with you and show you visibly how to put that spreadsheet together and monitor it. So that will come in our next episode, Part 8, how to build a budget worksheet. Then the last thing we want to do, once we have our budget planned and our budget worksheet built, now it's time to manage the budget. So the hard work's done. We've done all the hard work. We've got the budget plan. We've got the worksheet built. Now we need to start managing our money so that we can live without financial stress. So here's how you do that. First of all, you got to check your budget before making any financial decisions. Now, what does that mean? That means if you're going to the grocery store and you want to buy something extra at the grocery store, how's the budget look? How is the grocery category in our budget? Does this fit our budget? Okay, you want to make a purchase. It's a one-time purchase, but it's extra money. Here's the question you got to ask. Where in the budget are we going to get the money? And by the way, when we start to build our budget worksheet, one of the things you're going to hear me talk about, Dave Ramsey talks about it, other financial advisors, you're going to build what's called a zero-level budget. You're going to build a budget where every single dime is assigned to some category. So you're not going to have random money sitting out there that you can draw from. Every single dime will be assigned to a category, but you're going to have personal money that you will assign money to. That's your play money. You're going to have an emergency fund that you're going to assign money to. So when you have an emergency, you've got a budget category that you can pull from. So you're always going to ask the question before a purchase, where in the budget is this purchase going to come from? That will help you to manage your money. Number two, you want to reconcile your budget every month. I would recommend you do it every month. Now, once you get familiar with it and it starts to run like a well-oiled machine, you may only have to do it every couple of months, but you want to reconcile the budget. What does that mean? You want to download your bank account statement again. You want to categorize everything and then match how much you actually spent to how much you plan to spend during the month. Are you staying in your budget? Now, you may find when you start to compare your actual expenses to your budget expense, you may find that you haven't planned enough in some categories and you plan way too much in others. Well, you can adjust your budget as needed, but you're not going to know you need to adjust it if you're not reconciling your budget every month or every couple of months. Don't go too long, because if you've got a leak in your budget or you've got a crack in your budget and you wait too long, it's going to create a problem that may take you a long time to fix. So it's very important that you manage your budget every month and reconcile it to make sure that what you're spending is fitting inside the parameters of the amounts that you've assigned to that expense within your budget. So, over the last 2 episodes, we have talked about how to develop a money management plan. It's very simple. Identify your income, identify your expenses, identify your debt, establish your savings account items, build the budget worksheet, and then manage the plan that you built to make sure that you're staying inside that plan. It's a simple way to manage your finances, to keep an eye on where your money's going. It's a way for you to tell your money what to do instead of your money telling you what to do. And if you get this in place and you'll live like this, stay true to your budget, I can promise you that you will begin to live free from financial stress. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us. Don't miss our next episode, how to build that budget worksheet. Now, we're going to show you the worksheet. By the way, it will be available for you. I'll send it to you for free. All you got to do is email us, bill@billcrockett.com. Ask me for it. I'll be glad. It's just an Excel spreadsheet that I have developed. I use it to manage my money. I'm going to teach you how to use it to manage yours. It's only one way. It's the way I do it, but it's very simple. It's easy. I think it'll help you. There are many other ways to manage and build your budget. This is just the one that I use, so I want to share it with you. So don't miss our next episode, Part 8 of Living Free from Financial Stress, how to build a budget worksheet. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.